welcome back to my channel. My name is Queenie for those who don't know me, and today's video is a little bit different, but it is related to reality TV. I wanted to talk about everything that's been going on with the Love is Blind drama, but more so on the production aspect of things, especially since a lot of old cast members of Love is Blind are speaking out about the unethical practices of production and their experience on the show. So before I get into it, please make sure to like this video, subscribe and hit the bell, leave a comment down below. Down below in the description box, you'll also find a link to Discord, which is where we have been having this discussion for the last few days, just talking about production practices and the contracts that go into these shows and all that jazz. So I'm going to share my thoughts because as some of you or a lot of you should know by this point, that I have actually applied for reality TV in the past. And so I have seen these contracts with my own eyes. And also I talk a lot about reality TV. I know some people who have also been on reality TV show, like they made it on screen and everything. So I felt like, why not talk about it? So if you're unaware on what's going on, a lot of the ethics of Love is Blind is coming into question. There is an open lawsuit. I forget who's the one who opened it, but I'll put the person here, the name and everything. I think you can go see the class action lawsuit online. That information is available for you to read. And then there are also a few other cast members from Love is Blind, I think season 2, who are now speaking out about their experience on the show.
So you may have seen this article by now, and I wanted to touch on a few things. First, the psychobil. There was a 30-minute screening with the psychologist in where I talked about my past and current mental experiences, as well as my past suicide attempts and traumas. And it ended with, well, it sounds like you're okay now. So looking back, I probably shouldn't have agreed to go on the show, and I really wish I was more educated and self-aware at the time, but I also did trust that the psychologist would not choose people that they did not deem mentally fit. And because of the premise of Love is Blind, I actually thought it was going to be different. So during the show, the producers were constantly bringing up past traumas in order to break you down emotionally and get the reaction that they wanted. And I also thought that the things that I disclosed in the psychobil were confidential. Reliving these things every single day was tough. Next, I want to talk about Mexico. So Nick and I were about to head out to the couples party, but last second they said that I couldn't go because they thought I had COVID, which was weird to us because we had been together 24/7. And Nick could see my anxiety already starting to boil up, so he asked the producers to leave someone there with me that I trusted. That didn't happen. I got in my head even more, wondering why they actually didn't want me to go, as well as thinking about whether or not I disclosed too much too soon to Nick about some very sensitive subjects. So that's when I had a full-blown panic attack and went into the closet because I was scared that they were hitting cameras. When Nick got back, I refused to be filmed, I refused to be mic'd because I was still hyper anxious. And they sent Nick in mic'd because he had no idea what was going on so that they could pick up my voice. Nick realized what had actually happened and also that I was alone the entire time. He actually took off his mic and threw it at producers saying, "We are done, you're not exploiting us anymore, let us leave." I then told them that I had tried committing suicide in the past, that I wasn't trusting myself, that I was having suicidal ideations, and that I had to go home. Right after I said that, everyone from production, the crew, ran over to try and persuade us to stay, but no therapist. So constantly have in the back of your head the $50,000 fine, whether or not they'd enforce it. I really wish that they would have just let me leave in Mexico, because not only did that impact my mental health moving forward throughout the entire experience, but Nick's experience as well. And after filming, I was in such a dark place that it not only impacted Nick, but every single person that cares about me. After filming, I did decide to take a leave of absence from work to attend an outpatient trauma therapy, but I'm still struggling. I might get sued for this, but I really just hope that it teaches Kinetic to treat their contestants as human beings, and I also hope that it helps viewers give contestants more grace when they're watching. I often get asked why some people say that they had a positive experience, and 1, your experience is highly dependent on how ethical your producer is. 2, there are a lot of people who do benefit from the relationships that they have with Kinetic and Netflix, and I can't blame them for that, but the thing that wasn't mentioned is that while in Mexico, the only way we could get room service was through our TVs. 2, our TVs were disconnected. There are bodyguards outside of the hotel room to make sure you don't leave. Luckily, we had a swimming pool and we were able to make friends with the people within the swimming pool in order to get food and water.
So I want to preface this whole conversation by saying the end all and be all of reality TV is drama. We all know this. If it is classified as a reality TV show, I'm not talking about a docuseries. I'm not talking about a, whatever. I'm talking literally like reality TV, whether it's a competition show, a dating show, a follow me around show like the real world. It is all centered around drama. In order for there to be as much drama as there is on television, there needs to be a certain personality type that is casted on the show. So a lot of people say, oh, this person needs to go to therapy. This person needs to go to therapy. Why are these people allowed on the show? Well, in a lot of cases, they were preyed upon. And it takes somebody who's hungry enough to want to be on television, who is going to put up with damn near anything that production throws at them. Okay. So is there a psyche valve? People have been asking, is there a psyche valve that goes into reality television? Absolutely. Now, as somebody who has gone through a psyche valve, do I think it's a real psyche valve? Not necessarily. I think it's a psych evaluation that is to see where you are mentally, but it's not to say, "Oh, you are so stable, come on the show." It's almost to see how unstable you are, if we're being for real. That's number 1. Number 2, a lot of people have been saying the wage that they give you is just ridiculous, right? It's not a wage. Unfortunately, it's not a wage. The way that reality shows go, no matter the show, you're given a stipend for your time on the show. That's why when people stay longer, they make a lot more money. People will do whatever it takes. Sometimes will do whatever it takes to stay on the show because you get more money. And also you're taking time away from work, any kind of income you would have been making otherwise. It's more beneficial for you to stay, so at least your time is, worth it. You got some money out of it, right? People are saying the money is way below minimum wage, the hourly wage. Because you are a contestant on a show, you're not an employee. You're not a part of production. You're not a part of the editing team. You're not a part of anything. You are a contract worker. Therefore, you are paid for your time, more of a compensation rather than an equal amount of money to amount of time worked. You know what I mean? So when people are complaining about how low it is, unfortunately, I don't know if that's going to hold up in court because you were told beforehand that there will be a stipend, and you are also told how much the stipend is going to be. Now, do they tell you how long and rigorous filming days are? No. That's kind of deliberate, but yeah, these contracts are so meticulous. They have everything lined out to a T. If you sign this thing without reading it, you're signing your life rights away. And I'm going to show you, what side should I move over? This side. I'm going to show you my contract that I received. This is one of 3 contracts, if memory serves me. It was 65 pages long, and I'm going to show you the top so that you know it's addressed to me, Elaine. It was 65 pages long. Guys, this contract took me 3 days to read through and sign. And on top of that, they do put you under a time crunch, so you kind of feel like, oh, I'm not going to make it if I take up all the time to read it. So you kind of just sign and think, well, I'm sure they have my best interest at heart. Not always. So I would say read your contract. Those who want to go on reality TV. I'm still not opposed to going on to reality TV. I feel like for the most part, I kind of know what to expect. So anything that is very intense, like the environment, the lack of food, the light deprivation, the whatever, all that kind of stuff, I feel like I know that going into the show. So I'm aware of what I'm signing up for, me personally. Other people don't necessarily take these contracts seriously. There is a fine in there as well if you don't fulfill your time on the show, unless you are excused by production. And so a lot of people are complaining about that as well. They're like, oh my gosh, this crazy fine. Of course I don't have the money. It was in the contract. And I hope in me sharing this information, it's not to nullify these people's experiences. 1000% they experienced a tough thing, time, process, whatever you want to call it. It was hard. It's very intense. On shows like Big Brother or Survivor, some people cannot take the conditions and they have to remove themselves for mental health purposes. It's a very rigorous process. The filming time alone, the constant talking from the producers leading you to do stuff. They cannot force you. They cannot force you, but they do kind of lead you in a certain direction to do certain things. So it is a lot on the mind. It's a lot on your mental health. If you are already suffering with mental health issues, or if you have in the past, this is just a breeding ground for depression, if we're being for real.
Former contestants on the dating program, which just wrapped its 4th season, are accusing the production company of subjecting them to 20-hour filming days, rarely allowing them to go outside, failing to provide adequate food and mental health services, and ignoring their pleas for help. The production company Kinetic released a statement yesterday and said the well-being of our participants is of paramount importance. We have rigorous protocols in place to care for each person before, during, and after filming.
Oh, okay. So some people feel like they were forced to drink, or they didn't realize that there was going to be so much time spent on set and stuff like that. I will say the job for being on reality TV, depending on the show, but most likely it's 24 hours. And that's why the whole breaking it down to an hourly wage is kind of irrelevant, because you are damn near always on the clock. I'm thinking of shows like Love Island or Survivor or Big Brother. They are always on camera, damn near, unless they take breaks to eat or have production intervention and stuff, because obviously production, you don't see them on the screen, but you're always on the clock. So the filming days are going to be long. These 20-hour days that they're talking about from Love is Blind, it absolutely makes sense. It also makes sense to keep people always on this high alert, because it intensifies the emotions. You wonder why Love is Blind people, after 3 days, they're talking about I love you. Their emotions are so heightened that something that would have just been a regular feeling feels 10 times more intense because of the environment that they're in. Now, as for them being forced to drink alcohol, that isn't necessarily true. I wasn't there in person, so I do not know 1000%. However, I will say, if you've been on set for a long time and a bar cart comes out, maybe you haven't drank water in a while or juice or something like that, the first thing you're going to reach for is the alcohol. Now, is that being forced to drink? Not necessarily, but it's kind of blurry. The ethics here are blurry. And on top of that too, producers can never force you to do anything that is like against human rights, However, they can plant seeds, like, you should go talk to so-and-so about this, or how did so-and-so make you feel about that? I mean, I would be upset if I were you. Just kind of that kind of that kind of speech. It makes you think like, oh, I should be upset about that, or oh, I should go talk to that person about that thing because that did annoy me. So they're not telling you what to say, and they're not forcing you to go have this conflict, but they're planting seeds in your mind, and you're already kind of paranoid based on the circumstances that you've been living in. So it's easier for you to be prompted to do those things that you typically wouldn't do if you were in your right mind. It's unfortunate that Danielle and Nick and whoever else is speaking against Netflix and Love is Blind, to be more specific, went through what they went through. For anybody who is listening to their stories, for anybody who's aware of the lawsuit, for anybody who wants to go on reality TV in general, please read the contract. It is long, but it is necessary. And don't let your hunger for fame, this is not me saying that they were hungry for fame, but some people are. Don't let your hunger for fame gloss your eyes over what you're getting yourself into. Because it is no joke. When I tell you I went through a physical, this physical included a breast exam. I was hooked up to an ECG machine. They had me testing my physical ability and all that stuff. They needed my current weight, all that. Does my family have any health complications in the past? Do we have a history of heart disease, high blood pressure, all kinds of things. They wanted to know where I had worked previously. They wanted to know what dating sites I was on. Everything. They want to know everything. So you are willingly giving up this information, and you're saying, basically, my life rights, here you go. So if you think that being on a reality TV show is worth it, 1000%, go ahead and do it. Get your platform where you want to get it. But just know those contracts are no joke. Everything that's in there should be taken absolutely serious. And yeah, I hope that their experience is not your experience. Some people have been asking me, would I go on reality TV? I would never go on a dating one, but I'd absolutely do a competition one. I would love to still do Big Brother. I might not be able to do it after this video and a previous video that I've done on the show, but I don't know. I think some things to go on TV for are fun. Other things might not be. Just be careful. Read the contracts. Do your due diligence. Maybe get a lawyer if you already have one. If you don't have one, well, then take your time reading that thing and just, yeah, make sure you know what you're getting into before you sign up for these things. Anyways, I would like to see where this lawsuit goes. I hope that even if Netflix or Kinetic Energy, even if they win, I hope that this is a catalyst for better ethical practice on set. Because even though it might be justified legally, that doesn't mean that it's right. Going forward, I hope that things do change because we do love these shows and we want these people to come out saying that they had a good time. And if it worked out for them in terms of finding love, that's great. But if it didn't, their time was well spent and they enjoyed their experience. But yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know in the comments down below. I know I was rambling, but I felt like this was a good conversation to have. So if you have any other information on the show, or if you've applied for a show, or if you've been on a show, I'd love to hear your stories in the comments or even my DMs if you don't want your business out there in the streets. And as always, like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.